Welcome to another brand new perfect game on Deity difficulty with me here, Adrenaline. We're going to be playing as Pachacuti, running the Mayan Empire. Now, I do use shuffle mode for these games, but unfortunately currently Civ 7, the shuffle mechanic is very limited. It will almost certainly always give you a leader and a civ that complement each other historically, and I don't see a way of being able to fully immerse a completely random assortment of those two, like say, Confucius with the Mayan, or like Mississippian with Himiko, or something really out there that's like from Asia and Africa, from Europe and America and whatever. They don't seem to do that too much. It's either like language affiliated or like culturally affiliated between the two, but we're here anyway, and this game is going to be all about what you can do when you're kind of left to your own devices. In the Himiko game, we had a little bit of both, to be honest. We had Friedrich, we had Machiavelli, we had, some others like Harriet Tubman and that. But we did have enough space to work with. In this one, it's actually given us an archipelago type map. However, we have our own continent to work with. So we've been quite blessed in this game, I must say, in how we've been able to have a whole bunch of land to ourselves. But we do have our own difficulties in terms of not having anyone to trade with, not finding somebody necessarily to do those steel technologies with, at least not in the very early stages of the game. And it kind of brings it about its own challenges of being a little more isolated than usual, not having an opportunity to take advantage of war as much. And you'll get to see exactly what we're able to do. So here we are, it's the beginning of the game, turn 1, and the first thing we need to do is to survey the land. We see that there are a few resources here, horses, kaolin, and some incense for the science, which will be very helpful, of course, like I always say, science cannot be underestimated. Even some ivory for those wonder production, albeit tropical plains and desert terrain. So we have some desert terrain and some tropical terrain. Oh, nope, flat grassland, actually. So actually, this doesn't help the flat grassland, so that's going to be interesting. I don't know if we can get any marble anytime soon in this game. But anyway, also we want to try and check out this curia at some point. But we're on a river, which is pretty cool. Let's look at our settler lens. We can see that we have some places to the north that we could potentially go to. But really, I feel like in most games, it is kind of the regular thing with Civ, that you want to settle as soon as possible. You don't want to be wasting turns, especially getting off the ground. And, unless I have a very clear goal to go to, I tend not to really move or meander too much early on in 7, even more so than in 6, to be honest. Because in 6 you started with 2 units, right? And this one you only have 1 of the settler, and that is the one that you want to use to obviously make your capital. And I think, even though I am a big fan of making that ring, right? I showed you a little bit in the last game of Himiko, that ring of wonders. I think we can do that here. It's going to require using one of the tiles for our capital city center, but I still think this is pretty viable. We have 2, tiles for hanging gardens potential. Is pyramids available for just regular rivers? I think so, right? Also, Petra is a possibility. Gotta think about this sort of stuff. Grassland obviously offers its own various options. It offers things like Weyang Palace, and maybe even, if we're lucky enough, a terracotta army. And then, of course, Rough will allow us potentially the Oracle, or possibly Emil Bell, whatever is open to us. They tend not to be so highly prioritized in this game, especially Oracle. I remember the Oracle being incredibly difficult in Civ 6 to get, but not really that much in this one, and it's not as strong as it was in 6 anyway. And then, of course, we got to consider this in relation to the adjacency of our resources that we cannot obviously build anything on, any districts or anything. Unfortunately, with this hex, this 6, we do have 2 of these tiles kind of taken up with resources. But, I mean, moving this sort of pattern anywhere else isn't really going to do us any favors. In a lot of cases, we can't even do that if we were to move this anywhere north and south. I mean, there's the mountain here, and it just overall you got to take what you can get. So let's settle right here. We also got to make sure that if this is going to be our hex, that we're going to be working with. We want to try and figure out where we want to put the brickyard and the saw pit to try and increase that production. Very important in the early game, so we can make sure that we build these wonders fast enough and don't lose out on them. And I think if we're going to have a wonder here, we're going to want to have an maybe adjacency to the mountain and the wonder, maybe for the culture buildings, maybe for the happiness buildings, something like that, maybe even another wonder here. And therefore, this tile I also don't want to take. So if this tile is already reserved, as are these three, then that leaves this tile. So that's where we're going to build our brickyard and our saw pit. And yeah, we just need to make a scout and we're good to go. Holy moly, look at those double volcanoes and they're already erupting. Oh my god, I didn't know going into this that we're going to be surrounded by fire, but I guess that's the baptism we've got for today. Hey, meanwhile, we have a couple of scouts and one seems to have found a goody hut. Alright, a beloved prophet has been exposed as a charlatan by followers who claim they were bled of all their wealth. Yeah. They don't care about the money, they say, only justice. Bring the charlatan to justice, get plus 50 gold, and take 75 damage and almost feel the need to heal immediately. Or plus 25 happiness, but leave the justice to the gods. How are we doing with our government already? 25 would practically get us to our next celebration. Because we need 28. And that's a maximum of 28. It could be less than that. So we could potentially just get straight to our next celebration. Which then immediately would give us access to tool making. Which, to be honest with you, these days, I think I'd take tool making over charismatic leader. Either way, it would give us access to both of them. Or we take the gold. And our current economy is plus 7 per turn. So that is 7 turns worth of gold. And it would also... We're currently building the brickyard. Let's close that for a second. We don't have access to the saw pit yet. We want 5 turns for that. So there's going to be another 3 turns different between getting writing and getting that. And then after writing, we're going to want to beeline to animal husbandry to try and get the saw pit. We'd probably be able to make that kind of gold anyway in that time, right? To be able to buy the saw pit. So I don't know, I think I'm going to leave justice to the gods here. I don't know if I moralistically would do that, but yeah, I think that's the more sensible approach, especially since these are hostile. I don't really want to be losing my scout already. Well, as you may already know, this game is all about the lucky number 7. We want to build 7 wonders. It is Civ 7, and not only that, I'm a big fan of building our towns 7 tiles away from our cities. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is on the river. It's got fresh water. I think it's a perfect place to get our first town, second settlement going. We have a few resources to access. This does not quite reach any of these. We do get this tile to make a really nice adjacency potentially for production or science, but we don't actually get extra these resources. But this will have access to at least these 2, which is not bad. And welcome to what could well be the most pivotal turn in this age, and it's because we're about to get the Great Stella. And to be honest with you, there aren't many wonders that I simply restart the game if I don't get. But the Great Stella is one of them. It might be the only one. Because quite frankly, getting 100 gold, which you get on online speed, not 200. And 200 is even more, but then you're on slower speed. So it evens out, hopefully. Is just absolutely insane and kickstarts your entire economy. Your entire economy, basically, for the first 50, well, maybe not that many, but like 40 turns, maybe 30 turns at least, is simply getting wonders, getting the money off them, and building either settlers, if you have the space to do it, or an army, if you don't have the space and you're being front settled. And frankly, if you don't have that cash injection from something as amazing as a Stella, you might as well just pack it in, because it is way too important. The other wonders give you nice things. This thing gives you the ability to play the game, effectively, because, you know, when you're so dedicated to getting those 7 wonders and you only have 1 city to produce anything, well, you're not really doing much else, are you? So it better be allowing you to also then do other things. And the money that you get with the Stella is exactly what does that. Because now you can, like I say, buy the other stuff that you need. Even buildings like the library to speed up your tech research, or the monument, things like that, can be acquired now because of this great Stella. So it's now turned 30, and as you can see, we have found, or rather they have found us, a lot of our rivals. Not just Lafayette, who's already upset with us. We are, however, stealing their technology, so that might be why. They're also denouncing us in the process. We did take this off them as well, so there's a lot of reasons why they may become hostile to us. But we have our own continent. As you can see right here, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have a lot of land to work with, and it's all, you know, isolated by sea, by water. And while we do have sailing, right? Yeah. We haven't really made the most of trying to explore. We may well try to explore now with our, once this guy has everybody healed. It's a very different game. And then when you have always these churning away every few turns, having to, like, this farm has been repaired several times over now. If you put in yields, actually you can see just how much the yields are of this goddamn place, just because these keep effectively improving them, which is kind of nice, I guess, but it's also can get a bit annoying after a while. So yeah, we're about to build Terracotta Army, get ourselves a second Army General, and maybe that one stays at home while this one goes and has a look at what there is to be seen. Hey, progress.
After the battle, many new ghosts cry.
I don't know what that means, but what this means is that we now have 2 wonders out of 7. We're well on our way. We're gonna get that 100 gold, and we have ourselves a Terracotta Army. Give us another Army General. Woohoo! Commander. Yay! Look at its glory. Fantastic. La 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 la, tra la la, making wonders as we go. Nothing to see here. And yeah, there's Charlemagne with a single archer. No biggie, right? Just casually getting about our day. We finally have 3 locations. We're in the process of making a 4th. We've also found yet another city-state to befriend, which we don't quite have enough just yet, but that's what our Army General Commander has been finding for us. What could possibly go wrong? What the hell, Charles? What on earth? We do have +5. That might help. Oh my god. Like, he was neutral. He was totally fine. It was just a single archer unit. What could that possibly do? Now all of a sudden we have an army of immortals to go up against? Well, we better try and find some defenses quick. Better rush our other army general back over as quickly as possible, because goddamn, maybe these volcanoes can erupt now. They've been erupting the whole game. Just so conveniently they don't erupt when there's units we could deal damage to. See you on the other side. Well, we managed to hold off Cheeky Charles and his greedy army trying to grab their hands in our settlement here, but there is, of course, this immortal over here that is quite irritating. We are capable of declaring peace right now, so to get him off our ass, we may as well do that. However, you may notice that we have indeed built our 7 wonders. We have a whole bunch of awesome wonders. Great Gate, Hanging Gardens, Terracotta Army, Darsenican, the Great Cell, of course, Petra, Oracle. But why stop there, you know? Like, I mean, the Exploration Age is going to reward us for the amount of wonders that we have by giving us an extra culture and happiness percent, right? So, you know, some of these wonders are really nice. Again, not as crucial as something like Stella, but still, +1 culture and food on fishing boats in this settlement. I mean, we're playing on an archipelago map. We're going to be making fishing boats on some of these tiles. So I do quite like it. Plus the cultural attribute point. We do want to get to the wonder boost cultural attribute point and things. So why not? Why not? We might as well build it over here, say, because then we have potentially another tile adjacent to mountains for the adjacency bonus to cultural buildings and happiness buildings. And we may as well get working on that. As crisis looms, we once again find ourselves most struggling with both military and science. Now, military is arguably the biggest hit that you get for being relatively isolated, because of course, you know, you get double the points if you're taking other people's settlements that presumably are settling near you because the place is crowded. Whereas if you don't really have access to other people's settlements very easily, you have to travel by boat or whatever across the sea to get there, then you're probably not going to do that as much. You can get some with city-states in your own places, but it's not going to be as easy. And of course, science is just the perennial problem, right? It's just more difficult to get that working. Economic is a little bit way to go, but it should be fine. A couple of merchants should solve that one. I'm currently researching mathematics. That's the first one. Pyramid of the Sun will almost certainly have already been taken by now. But that will eventually give us 2 more codices. We are indeed stealing technology from Friedrich. He is the one who is warring us right now, so I figured might as well go for him. We do have our own settlements now. We do have this continent pretty well set up, but we're also struggling a little bit with our settlement limit, right? I mean, we kind of have this delicate balance to achieve between making sure that we get those military points, which we obviously have to do more so with settling than taking, and also not being too miserable so that none of our places can work. You know, our capital is only just teetering above a positive happiness ratio, and some of our towns are already in the negative. So with this crisis coming around, that might make even more difficulty to an already precarious situation. We're going to have to see how we're going to go about navigating that. 86% in the age progression now, and you can see that we are on the brink of each of these particular legacy paths. However, our economy is absolutely chugging it. We are minus 27 happiness in the capital. This is obviously partly because we are so over our settlement limit now. Not having a couple of nice, free, easy, you know, settlements to just take, especially if they don't have any walls and you just round up a bunch of units, can make life quite difficult in getting over that line and that hump. We have finally settled down our rowdy neighbors from their constant warring with us. And it looks for all the world that we can get our alliance back with Benjamin, right? Man, I mean, he was on the loving us side of things, and he's just rejected our alliance, and we're all the way back down to 10. We've been enduring some harsh lessons when it comes to diplomacy today. As I make the final necessary adjustments both to our codices and to our economic Silk Roads, this rogue city-state stuff has certainly been quite a bit of a hassle. They keep marching in their units, but it's certainly nowhere near as problematic as the happiness issue one. So I gotta say, I'm quite grateful for how the game has ended in this particular age. We've been saving the best for last. The small little island over here will allow us to complete the military victory, the military legacy path, I should say. And all 4 will now be complete. Thank God. That was more of a slog than I expected it to be, because while we were able to pretty much be allowed to our own devices, at least for the first 40 turns, just dealing with that balance when you don't have the opportunity to take anywhere by force, at least for the double points, and accommodating our lack of happiness at times has been quite a struggle. There it is! Antiquity Age comes to an end with us getting maximum free points in the 4 legacy paths that we wanted.
Cultivates his land, so did the Maya dominate their neighbors. Better to pledge loyalty than lie fallow.
Yeah, well, we pledged loyalty to our objectives, and our objectives did provide, so fortunately we'll be able to go into the second age. Not sure who we're going to play as yet, in order to, maybe someone nautical, maybe Chola or something, I don't know. But we'll have to see and wait next time. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed this video, as per usual, and if you did, don't forget to leave a comment below, like the video, follow the channel, and I'll see you next time.